Hey, Tutor Heroes, we are here again with another incredible story that you are not going to want to miss. Today, I have Chris with me, Chris Basurto, and he is also known as the teacher champion. And he started out as a language teacher online. And just like a lot of you, maybe you've started off with VIP Kid or some other company like that, or even if it was Wyzant or any of those companies, right? Big changes happened for Chris and they really made him rethink everything. And when the rules changed, he suddenly found his income at risk. And Chris had to make a big decision. So instead of relying on those other companies, guess what he did? He decided it was time to do his own thing. And he's all about helping language teachers today do more than just teach. He is here to show how you can use social media, make your own teaching content, and set up a business that allows you to be your boss. And he believes that teachers can have more time for themselves, make more money by creating their own platform and businesses. So he's not just talking the talk, you guys. He's walking the walk, going from an online teacher to owning his own business and now being a champion for teachers everywhere. Hello and welcome to Season 4 of the Online Tutor Business Podcast. I'm your host, Joanne Kaminski. Back in 2010, I dove headfirst into the world of tutoring, armed with a wealth of teaching knowledge, but little idea about the business side of things. Fast forward to today, and I'm here to share my journey and expertise with you, helping fellow tutors turn their passion into a thriving career. And this season, we're focused on the needs of independent tutors who are eager to make their mark in 2024's dynamic online tutoring landscape. We've lined up some incredible guests whose experiences and insights are sure to inspire and guide you. Our mission is to equip you with actionable insights, practical strategies, and that extra dose of inspiration to help you expand and refine your tutoring business. If you find value in our podcast, please subscribe and share it with others in the tutoring community. Your support means the world to us. Thanks for tuning in. Now, let's jump right on into our next guest. So Chris is here to share his story and tips on how you can take control of your teaching career and make it even better. Are you guys ready to take the next level with us? Let's do it. Thanks for being here, Chris.
Wow, thank you, Jan. That was an incredible introduction. Thank you so much. And I'm so honored to be here. Thank you for inviting me. And let's get into it. Let's help empower teachers.
It's amazing. So if you guys are here and you're wondering on some social media tips and that kind of stuff, keep listening because you're going to hear some. But first, what inspired you to transition from being an online language teacher to becoming a teacher entrepreneur and champion for educators?
Absolutely. So I was, again, through that whole transition phase of going from platform, then the platform shutting down, and then really having to make a choice. I was like, okay, do I keep on the platforms that actually were going to pay me even lower than my previous job, or do I make a shift and really decide to make it my own? Because at the end of the day, I love to teach. I think that's what really unites all of us is that we love to do what we do, which is teach. And absolutely, what we want to do is also make a living out of it, being able to survive and thrive through our passion. And so for me, it was like, okay, I know I can do this on my own. I know it's not going to be a nice, smooth road or sunshine and rainbows. It's going to be rocky, but I'm going to go for it. I think one of the pivotal things for me was also the people in my circle in my personal life that didn't really question or doubt my decision to go into doing my own thing, which is obviously you can call it many things, freelancer, entrepreneurship, etc. And so I went into that. And thankfully, through that, I was able to grow my own business. Truth be told, I did source one or two students from my previous platform because previously, during my tenure at the company, I had built these awesome, incredible relationships with my students outside of the
Yeah.
classroom. So we had our so I was using WeChat, which is like
Mm-hmm.
WhatsApp, iMessage.
Mm-hmm.
And we had built like a relationship during my tenure in that previous company. VIP kid, by the way, not to sound so mysterious. And so I had that contact. And so when everything shifted, I was like, hey, mom, I'm going at on my own. And so I really brought in my students into my journey. And I was like, and my parents' students as well. I was like, okay, if you want to continue lessons with me, here's what I can offer you. Here are my
Mm-hmm.
individual prices. And from that, I was able to really kick off things. And then I hit another wall, was the thing though.
Sure.
And so the wall was, okay, I have these students, but I've only really successfully enrolled a couple of students, honestly. So how can I find more? Because a lot of these marketplaces or platforms really like 50% of their job was to find students for you, that it took that burden
Hmm.
off of you as a teacher, as a language teacher, the online language teacher. So now I was like frantic in a way, maybe was like, should I just give up now? All these intrusive thoughts, right? That come into
Yeah,
that are part of being a human being, I think, and part of,
for
and it's
sure.
okay. So then I went into social media and I didn't just go into like your typical social media Instagram. I went into foreign social media and I went into Xiaohongshu, and that's, or in English, it's called Little Red Book. Some people like to say Red. And that's really where I dipped my toes into social media. I had never done social media before. I was like a consumer of it, but I'd never really done it. And so I felt like I was a chicken without a head. Woo, let's try it all. Let's do it all. And through
Hmm.
that trial and error, I was able to really realize that the focus of why I was on there was to call in the right student. So the
Yeah.
content I was producing at the time was very much that, showcasing my expertise, what I did in the classroom, and all that jam. And so through that, I was able to find and call in students and grow my student business, my language business into max capacity. And then
Mm.
through all of that, though, I was still very much in touch with this awesome, powerful community of language teachers that we have across Facebook and Instagram and YouTube. And I still saw a lot of teachers be in the same place that I was, in that fork in the road, if you will. Do I continue on
Yeah.
platforms because I still want to do what I want to do, or do I go on my own? And I saw a lot of them choosing that lower pay, choosing to undervalue themselves, choosing
Mm.
to continue to do the work that they're so passionate about, but having it to do it through means that weren't up to par to their potential, if that makes sense.
Right.
So I saw that and I was like, okay, if I could offer my help, if I could extend my help in some capacity so that we can all rise together. Because for me, one of my core beliefs is that if we all rally together, we can change the industry. And
Yes.
obviously, the language, it's focused right now on language teacher, but I'm putting my business hat on and I'm thinking we can change the educational field, right? We can
Yes.
change,
Yes.
let's go to the world.
Yes, yes. That's exactly
Let's
why I
dream
wrote the Tutors
big.
Manifesto. That was the whole reasoning behind the Tutors Manifesto, because I wanted people to see, what is this journey all about, and how can we
Yes.
really make an impact of this not being about people's egos, but it's about the student that's sitting in front of
Yes.
us. It's what they're struggling with. It's about being able to help them. It's not about who's right
Absolutely.
on which program to use, or there's just not enough time in the day to be able to offer the right services to each of these kids. And it's not
100,
about
100.
not
Yeah.
devaluing teachers, because
Oh,
I
I'm
mean,
over it.
really, oh yeah, I know. If you break down like what a teacher is making, it's 15, 20, $30 an hour. It's
It's
just
insane.
crazy. It's
It's
insane. And
really
then you go into
insane.
the tutoring world and it's the same thing. Go into the ESL world, it's the same thing. It's they just want to give this low pay to these teachers and tutors, but we can take control of that.
Yes.
And I love that.
Yes. I
We
love
have
it.
the
I love it.
power.
I love that word, control. We have the power. Yeah, and not to go off on too much of a tangent, because I still want to wrap up my story and answer your question. But I think that there's such a normalization, if you will, of teachers
Mhm.
always sacrificing, or teachers always
Yes.
giving, or teachers always being in second place and everyone else
Mhm.
is first. And I'm just over it.
Yeah.
No. We
Yeah.
need to change that. Yeah.
Exactly. So you started finding out like the right social media to be using to attract your ideal students, which a lot of people don't understand, I think, that piece of it. They think in their own country's social media, but they don't necessarily think about what social media are the people in the country that I want to specifically focus on. What are they using? How
I
has
love
that
it.
really changed your business? And are there big differences with the platform that you use for social media compared to what we're used to here in the US?
So, short answer is yes, but I would love to expand on it.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it was really, I think I love what you just said, because a lot of teachers think, okay, I need to find students. I'm just going to go to what's around me. But if you want to call in students, thinking geographically, then we have to also place ourselves there geographically. So that's why I wanted to continue with students from mainland China. So I chose and investigated and researched and looked for applications and platforms that the local community is using, right? And obviously there are global platforms, but I think it's so important to understand also it's like word of mouth. What are people using to talk between themselves, right? That are not these
Mhm.
global stages. So yes, so first of all, social media is the new place to hang out. Like it's the new way to communicate. And I like to think of it, or I like to give the analogy that social media has replaced those billboard ads, those TV ads, those radio ads, those networking events. Social media has really is in its way, it's in the direction of replacing all of those hangout spots and word of mouth. It's obvious, and it's becoming, of course, word of mouth. And so social media, I think, is the new way to communicate. And I think some of what teachers some of the feelings, some of those hesitations of going on to social media, I think, is that A, of course, it's a new unknown thing. B, that it's for young people or for teenagers, if you will. And C, that it's just too much. It's like too much work or too much time, whatever, too much, insert your word, your
Mhm.
feelings. And so I think that's something that I really try to vocalize across my platforms is, hey, social media is a new place to hang out. And no, you don't have to be scared of it. No, you don't have to be an influencer. No, you don't have to make a fool. No, you don't have to like dance. No, you don't have to show off your house or anything like that. It's really just the new hangout spot. And so thinking about it that way, I think teachers are open to going for it and like, okay, let me give this a shot. Now, the thing
Yeah.
is, social media in one way and like thinking about social media platforms across the world and all the different variations, I think what it comes down to is like talking. It's communication.
Mhm.
It's for me, it's like a human connecting with another human. And so on one end, I think that's the basis of social media. We're talking to each other. On the other end, of course, each platform, let's not forget, is a business, y'all. It's a business. So we
Right.
also need to understand that each platform is a business and it's thinking like a business. It's having to generate revenue like a business. And of course, each platform has its culture, if you will, its
Mhm.
ecosystem. In terms of wanting to start on a social media platform, first of all, always just start with one. Don't try to do all at once. You can definitely repurpose later, but please start off with one platform and really try to get to know its culture. Can I go into like quick examples of cultures, if you will? So for
Yeah.
TikTok, it's shifting now, but it used to be all these short videos, like 15 seconds max. 15 seconds is like too long. Now it is shifting, and now we are wanting to create longer form content. And by that, 60 seconds. So don't think you're trying to do 10 minute thing. But for TikTok, that's long form content. So that's what I'm getting at
Yeah.
with culture. Because for
Yeah.
YouTube, long form is an hour long. So
Right.
that's what I'm getting at. And then with Instagram, of course, the culture there, I think there's some remnants of the stereotypical thinking of Instagram back in 2008, where it's like these filters and like showing the best parts of your life. I think there's still remnants of that. So because of that, Instagram is really about like static images and like these short reels and things like that. So those are just a few examples in terms of what I was trying to get at with culture and
Yeah.
and so taking that into consideration, right? Like the geographical place of the student that you want to look for and work with. And then second, what platform are they on? Are they
Mhm.
using something that's more local or are they on something more global, like TikTok, for example? So yeah, I don't know if that covered the question.
No, I think that's great, as we do have to think about a lot of people think about repurposing their content, but they also really do have to understand that platform. And that's why even inside our community, we take one platform at a time, give people like an overview. We at least have them create like a presence on there so they can create an online presence, then also begin to understand how do people interact on that platform? Because it's not all the same. So if you just take your content and
Yes,
then you just throw it
1000.
everywhere, it's not going to resonate with people
Mm-mm.
in the same way. So you definitely have to be cognizant of those differences that are there to have success. What are some essential
Yeah.
steps that language teachers can take when they're thinking about starting their own business?
Okay, absolutely. Whoa. So I think social media is last on the list when you're starting to think about your business because we have to really make sure that we understand what your former employer was taking care of. What were they in charge of? And that's a lot. First of all, I think for me, number one is figuring out how you're going to get paid. So, what
Mhm.
is the method? What is the way? Are you going to use a virtual bank? Are you going to do bank transfer? Are you going to look for another business that serves as a tunnel for your money to come in? I personally recommend Stripe. Usually, with all the teachers that I work with, Stripe is easy to set up. It's really user friendly. And in terms of my experience and the teachers I've worked with, their customer support team has been really helpful. So,
Mhm.
number one, how are you going to get paid?
Yeah.
More, I think that's like number one. Number two, how you like, where do you want to have your classes? Like now you have the liberty, you don't have the dedicated website, of course, that your platform, your former employer or your employer in transition is providing you with. So now you have to figure out, okay, is Zoom the space for me, right? Is
Mhm.
Classroom the space for me? There's a bunch of awesome Google Meet, like there's free and paid platforms and
Mhm.
spaces for you to conduct your lessons in. And then after that, I would consider your curriculum because for most language teachers, I would say the former employer platform provided you with the resources to teach the students for the most part. So now you have that liberty and that control to really take the decision, make the shots on everything in terms
Mhm.
of how you're going to teach. And so also myriad of like curriculum options out there, of course. And what I love to actually like when a teacher does work with me, I like to pick their brain about what if you had to just teach this? Let's imagine there was no curriculum in the world out there. How would you teach this? What is your method? What is your process? Because really, that is going to help you frame a lot of the content that you want to be producing. Little bonus tip there. And then after that, after kind of making those decisions, pricing. How are you going to price? And I think here, I would love to hear a little bit about your thoughts, Joanne, but I think here it's really where we have the power to shift, right? Going back to your
Mhm.
manifesto, this is where we can control. And so for me, pricing, in my opinion, I don't necessarily believe in looking at the market because I
Right.
think it's too skewed. It's too
Yes.
skewed. There's too many
Yes.
outliers. So
Mhm.
I think it's really thinking about taking yourself out of the background, putting yourself in the foreground and asking, okay, how much do I need to make? First, and this is of course if you're just starting, at least how much do I need to make to cover the bills at the end of the month? We can
Mhm.
envision and dream big a little bit later, but I think those first steps is really figuring out, okay, how much do I need to make? And then thinking backwards, okay, how much does that equal per hour?
Hey there, tutor heroes and sheroes. I've got a little secret to whisper your way. Remember how I swore I would stick to my old tutoring platform unless something truly groundbreaking came along? Well, it seems like the universe was listening because I have spent the past year getting acquainted with Koala Go. And let me tell you, it has been a game changer. Imagine transforming the tutoring experience into an immersive 3D virtual adventure where kids don't just learn, they thrive in an engaging, hands on environment. Koala Go isn't just another platform, it's a revolution in educational technology. Now, here's a scoop there's four standout features that have both me and my students absolutely hooked. Picture this a dynamic, interactive whiteboard where ideas come to life. Kids can actually shuffle post it notes around, much like they would on Jamboard, making learning an active, participatory experience. Who said learning can't be an adventure? With Koala Go, there's a playground where students can skate into classrooms, turning every lesson into an exhilarating journey. And we can't forget about co-browser functionality where you no longer have to juggle control with a shared mouse. In this digital space, every student has their own mouse, paving the way for seamless collaboration and exploration of resources for upcoming activities. And the cherry on top, gaming, and rewards. So students can earn gems, reap rewards, and even play games with a built-in dice feature. It's not just learning, you guys. It's an entertaining quest for knowledge. Koala Go has redefined what it means to learn, making it fun and captivating for kids. At long last, there's a platform that truly is designed with the young learners in mind. A huge shout out to Koala Go for sponsoring this episode and making such a revolutionary tool available to us. Curious to see this magic in action? Click the link in the description and prepare to be amazed. Trust me, your tutoring sessions will never be the same.
But I would love to hear a little bit about your thoughts on pricing, Joanne.
You know what? It's really shifted over the years to being
Okay.
about when businesses start a business, they don't think about what should I get paid. They think, how much money do I need to make in order to continue to run my business? So they're thinking about already the costs that are associated. So whether they have created their own
100%
platform
agree.
or they have a brick and mortar business, they're thinking about how much rent is. They're thinking about how much money they have to pay the government because you don't get to keep 100%
Yeah.
of what you
Yes.
make. So how much do I need to make in order to make this a legit sustainable business for
Yes.
myself? And I think that's really the big
I love
key.
it.
I always thought it was about the value that I added and the results that I could get, and that can play a part into it. But at the end of
Sure.
the day, I want to be excited about my price. Like when somebody says yes,
Yeah,
I want to be excited. I don't want to be resentful.
absolutely.
I don't wanna be like, "Oh my gosh, I can't believe that's all I'm charging and other people are charging this." I wanna feel proud of what it is that I'm charging, and I wanna feel proud
Yes.
of the services that I'm offering to the students that I have, while still being able to have a legit business that I can bring far into the future.
1000%. I love the keyword sustainable, what you said. And
Mhm.
actually, you just reminded me the other day, I had a call with a teacher and we were figuring out her pricing for her. And when we went into you, not only do you need to have your bills met, but you also have to think about all the business expenses, like you mentioned.
Yeah,
Mind blown. They were like, wait,
yeah.
what? Taxes? Wait, what? Platform? Wait, what? Out of
Yeah,
class time to prep? Like, I can pay
right?
myself for that? Yes, you can. Now you're
Yes,
doing it, you're calling a
yes.
shot. Yes, I
Yeah.
love it.
Yeah, and you don't break all of those costs down for the parents, just like a regular
No,
company doesn't
that's,
either. A regular
yeah.
company isn't being like, "We have to pay for our brick and mortar establishment. We had to buy new computers this year." You don't break it down into like,
Yeah.
"Here's my price because I use this platform, so that's how much that costs. Here's all the money from PayPal takes away from me, so I'm adding that onto my price for you as well." Nobody breaks their pricing down that way, so we don't have to either. It's this is what the price is because we know that and when
Yes.
people don't have to really mess around with pricing so much, I think they're just so much more respectful too of us and not really there to talk us down. I don't have anybody who talks me down on my pricing. Do you
Same.
experience that anymore?
I don't experience anyone talking down. They take it as face value because I think also I
Yeah,
approach the conversation with that confidence with, yes, this is
right.
it. Done.
Yeah, exactly. I think this is also important for teachers, for tutors. We all fall into the same category when we start having our own business. And you guys are probably hearing some similarities between Chris does, what I do. We have similar and also different audiences, whether you're an ESL teacher or whether you're a tutor who is helping kids struggling in a certain area. I'm constantly talking about with tutors the importance of creating an online presence. And I know that you have this big importance on elaborating content creation because that's part of
Yes.
our online presence. What does content creation mean for you when it comes to expanding our reach and impact?
Yeah, I love that you mentioned that there. So before I get into that, Joanne, I love that you mentioned that there are similarities and differences to what we work on as coaches, because I think that you have a different perspective on how to get about it, and I have my own perspective. And I think
Mhm.
those two things can work together to really help everyone.
Yeah.
And so I say that because for me, one of the big things that I've learned and that I've grown in is with content creation. It's helped my business and the teachers that I've worked with really grow their business. So for me, I'm like all in for content. And so with content creation, I think what's important is to not overthink it. And also to recognize that you're not in the classroom, that you are talking to the world essentially. And I don't say that to scare or bring up uneasy feelings. I say that because you're communicating to that future student waiting out there for you, that future student that wants to
Mhm.
work with you. If you do the whole classroom greeting and performance and kind of that rhythm, it's not to say that it's impossible and that maybe it can work for you, but most of the time, that thinking of I'm just going to take how I talk and say in the classroom and bring it out into the world, there's a mismatch because with content creation, you're meeting a stranger, honestly, across the
Mhm.
screen. You're not meeting with your student, you're meeting with a stranger. And so you have to meet that future student slash stranger halfway. And so you have
Mhm.
to really think about content creation in that aspect.
So
Yeah.
you mean it's not all about you, it's all about them?
Yes, I love that you just summarized it perfectly.
That's what I have found. That's the biggest mistake I feel that tutors at least
Yes.
make is that they want to put all of the information about themselves, what school I went to, where I graduated, how many years teaching, and all of that. It's
Yes,
important
yes.
stuff, but it's really not going to be the stuff that connects. The stuff that's going to connect is, do you like working with kids like mine? Are you able to get results working with kids like mine? What are some of the things that you understand I'm feeling or thinking about? What are some of the things I'm
Absolutely.
worried about? What are the dreams that I have? All of those things, they're going to be so much more important at the end of the day than me just shouting, taking students right now, or
Yes,
making it
I
all about them.
100% agree. And don't get me wrong, I am gonna be transparent with you, and I'm guilty of doing that at the very
Yeah.
beginning. I remember one of
Yeah,
my
me too.
first being like, "Hi, I'm Teacher Chris, and I have this many
Mhm.
things and these many things, and I do this many things." But then it was really that light bulb moment, if you will, of, okay, wait a minute. How am I consuming content? I'm not consuming content and stopping on a video that's like this dude talking about himself. I'm stopping on content that I identify with or that resonates with me or provokes a feeling in me. And so that's when I had that light bulb moment.
I think that's really huge. What are some misconceptions that you know about teachers have about running their own business, and how do you address them?
Oh, okay. Okay. Misconception. So I'm going to start with pricing again
Yeah,
because I think teachers undervalue themselves even when they
100%.
go independent. Do you find
Yep,
that similar experience,
always.
Joanne? You're on your own now. And I'm going to say the sky is limitless,
But
right?
it's not their fault
No?
either. And so we do gotta we
Okay.
gotta give that to them, right? Because it's not their fault, because that's what society has done to them. They've been pushed
Yes.
down, beat up, and pretty much except for during the pandemic where we had 1 year where people actually respected teachers. Teachers get summers off, and it was like all
Ah,
of these like misconceptions that
all
everybody
these
had
things.
about teachers, that they just thought that they had the easy life, not really understanding anything that goes into their life, and therefore didn't value them. And so I think that
1000%.
the system has totally beat them down. And so even when I came into the space, I was only charging $40 an hour because I just thought at the end of the day, this company over here is charging 50. So if I charge $10 less, then people will want to work with me. That was
Yeah,
literally my thought process because I didn't have
same.
anything else to go off of. Yeah.
Same. So I think that's what you just said. I love it. It's like really addressing the fact that we don't have to follow any parameters anymore. And I think
Mhm.
and I don't know about you, but it's hard to change that thinking. I try to say it again and again, and then I still find, new teachers that come into my space.
Yeah.
Is it okay? As if they're asking permission.
Yeah.
And I don't know, I really feel for that because I've also been there. I'm like, imposter syndrome, right? Should I charge this? Should I not? Is this too much? So I think that's another, just in
As
general,
the validation,
pricing.
right? Because they've had
Validation.
the
Yes.
validation from the school system has given them their validation. Here's what you're worth. Here's what you can get paid. So then we're asking still for that validation because that's what we've known. We haven't really had that opportunity to know that life is different over here on this side. The private
Different.
sector, we can totally choose what we're going to charge. We can totally choose who we want to work with. If there are certain
Yeah.
students that we don't want to work with. Yeah, it's
Yes.
absolutely
Oh, I love that point.
incredible,
Yes.
right?
Yeah,
Because not all students are perfect for us.
nope. And I made the mistake when I first started to take on students that I know weren't my fit.
Mhm.
And what was the sad part about that, to be quite honest with you, was that we both left with a bad taste in our
Mm,
mouth. And
yeah.
I really dislike that because not only is the student kind of leaving not encouraged and not supported, which is totally against what I believe in. On my end, I'm like, it kind of reinforces sometimes those intrusive thoughts of, oh, yeah, of course that doesn't work out for you, or of course that doesn't match, or of course it's not panning out. I think it's really important. The point that brought up, it's we get to choose who we want to work with now and
Hmm.
to be able to enjoy that. I think you said it a little bit before. It's I want to be excited for the class. I don't want to
Yeah,
have any resentment. I think you said that a little
right.
bit earlier.
Yeah, like resentment over like how much you're getting paid sometimes that can come on in, or resentment over sometimes you accept students that aren't a right fit for you. And so then when they start exuding certain behaviors that maybe kids that age is normal for those kids that age, you start resenting having to work with them. And that's happened to me. And I've really gotten to understand for me who is my ideal student. Is not everybody from birth to adult, okay? Even though my
No.
certification goes from birth to adult, I get to choose who I want to work with. And I love that. That was the other thing I was thinking, which is another huge misconception I think that teachers have is that they have to get this kind of certification or this degree in order to
Oh,
charge more.
you read my mind right now. I was like, John,
Mhm.
let's talk about certification.
Yes,
You read
yes.
my mind.
Parents don't even
Yeah,
ask about it, do they?
no. And I just want to go to the point that you just said earlier about we're in the private sector now. We don't need to follow any set regulations or any government norms or policies. Like, again, it's a whole different field. We're doing our own thing. So yeah, let's get into certifications. I'd love to.
Yeah, but I have people all the time, they'll ask me questions like, "Should I get TEFL certified, or should I get Orton Gillingham certified?" Or all these different, like, programs that exist too,
Yeah,
and I say, "Look, you can charge what you want to be able to charge, you don't need that certification to do that. I want you to think about why you want that certification. Do you feel there's something that you can learn that would add value to you and your students that you wanna bring to the table? Don't do it because you think you can charge more, because that's how it was in our school system. If I
yeah.
go on to or sometimes you get messed over with like I did. I went for my master's, then I had to fight for a raise, even though
Oh
I
my
had graduated with
goodness.
my
Even though
master's.
you did all that time and energy and
Yeah.
work.
What's your take on it?
I think with certifications and the word validation was ringing in my head as you were speaking. And going back to your previous point, I think part of it is that validation and kind of fighting that imposter syndrome. Okay, maybe if I have this, then okay, I feel more worthy and I can charge this more and I can keep going forward on my own. For me, certification, 9 out of 10 times, I'm like, no, you don't need it. You don't need to have all these things. And I get it. I get it. I get that we come from an industry that requires us to learn and to grow in so many different ways. Now that we're going on our own thing, just because you're going on your own thing doesn't mean that all that work and expertise that you have disappears. That's you. That's part of you. That's never going to leave you. And you don't need to prove to anyone or show receipts to anyone because it's your business, right?
Right.
It's your legacy. It's your thing. And so for me, certifications and me, I don't know, but I do love the point that you brought up. If you feel like you can gather something from it, and if you love to keep learning, like I love to keep learning,
Me
yeah,
too.
go for it.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah. It's doing it for the right reasons, right? I wanna
Yes.
be able to
Yes.
if I think inside of my head, "I wanna help this kid do this," and I can't figure out why what I'm doing isn't working, I'm gonna dive into that, and I'm gonna learn everything that I can to specifically help that child.
Yes.
It may be a course, it may be a book, it may be something on the internet, it may be a podcast, it may be something, but I will always be diving into learning more because that's what we do as educators, right?
Exactly. I think it's that
But
inner teacher asking, like,
yeah,
yeah, I want to learn more.
but they don't determine how much we should be charging, and that's not where our validation comes
1000%.
from. All
Mhm.
about the student. We always have to remember this is all about the student that's in front of us. We also have to balance that, I think, with we also have families,
Yes.
and some of us have families that, are ruling the roost around here. Some of us have other commitments in life. Maybe I'm still teaching in the school system or other things are going on. We get to really balance this out with whatever lifestyle we want to be able to have. And so you just have to figure out what does that look like for you.
1000%. I love what you just said because and like, I get it on the other hand, right? Great. Another thing, right? Another thing. I have to build my business. I have to build my brand. I have to build my presence. Like, I'm already burned out with work time. But I think it's thinking, like you just said, if I want to really change my present and dream for that freedom or for that desire, whatever that is for you, teacher, there is that work. And I think 100% of the times you're prepared for that because you're already balancing all the things. And yes, it is going to take this upfront work. And I always try to be honest about it, that it's like this
Yeah.
work that has to be taken upon yourself,
Yeah.
added onto the
Yeah.
list. I know, I get it.
Sure.
But
I think people
yeah.
don't give themselves enough time. And I'd love to hear your thoughts about that. Because for
Oh, okay.
me, I
Tell
tell
me.
people that, like, if you want to create like a solid online presence, because you're like, this is what I want to do, this is what I want to do for my career, give it a year. Give a year of building your online presence. Don't think that Rome was built in a day
Yes.
or a month and then give up. Keep going. Like, when you join somebody like Chris or you join somebody like me, we are going to show you how to do it the right way so that you're not
Yes.
sitting there, but I don't know what to do. Because we all get stuck in the, but I don't know what to do. Because we're going to
Hmm,
show
hmm,
you
hmm.
what to do to build that presence over time
Exactly.
and be able to get results.
1000%. And I think going off of your point, it's also asking yourself, if I'm going to put the time and energy into this to make something out for myself, am I going to do it in a strategic way, or am I going to go through the same cycles of burnout, giving up, and trying again? You have the option to be guided or to be given the outline for you to use that
Yeah.
time and energy at 1000% so that you can reach
Right.
your goals. Or
Yeah.
again, you can choose to keep in this cycle. And I think that's the beauty of entrepreneurship, is that you really learn about yourself in that sense,
Hmm.
right? You learn to be like, okay, where are my priorities and how am I going to use the time and energy and space that I have in the best way? I think
Yeah.
people like us who are there to empower and uplift teachers are able to give you the skills and the tools and the outline to really maximize that time and energy that you want to put in.
Absolutely. And with the right, I tell people you get to skip the line. You can
Oh, I
choose.
love that.
Do you want to walk up the Statue of
The
Liberty all by
fast pass.
yourself, up, just walk up all of those stairs, or would you like to take an elevator up to the top?
Oh, I love it. I love it.
It's not impossible, but you're still going to have to make all the same mistakes that other tutors also made before. But then you're also going to have to realize that it didn't work or that it was a mistake. And some people don't get to that point where they realize that was even
Mhm.
a mistake. That's the hard part, is we don't know what we don't know. And so that's where we come on
1000%.
in to be able to
Yeah.
support teachers and
We
tutors
f-
and people in the
we fill
education
in
world.
those gaps. Like, we fill in those gaps.
I love it. It's been so awesome being able to chat with you, Chris, and share more. Where can people learn more about you and follow you?
Yeah, absolutely. I think the best place for a teacher to reach out would be on my Instagram at Chris the Online Teacher. And then I'm also starting on TikTok. I challenged myself so that my community can also see that I'm growing and I'm challenging myself and I'm walking the
Yeah.
walk and talking the talk. So I
Yep.
started on TikTok as well recently with the same handle at Chris the Online Teacher. And you can definitely reach out to me there. And in the bio, you have links to the services that I can provide so that we can work together and really make your goals come true. So yeah.
I love it. Yay. Thanks so much for hanging out with me and chatting. And I love that we got to dive on into that whole pricing
Yeah,
debacle
I
that
loved it.
so many teachers and tutors go on into. So, you guys, you are already awesome and you can already charge
1000%.
what you want to be able to charge.